Hello, sacred souls. It's Susanna from Shamanic Shaman. What I have here for us tonight is breaking the incubus, succubus type energies. So basically, the seductive, sexual demon type energies that either on the one hand work through manipulation, or then on the flip side can also be in the form of control, right? And sometimes manipulation is also a form of control, right? Well, not sometimes, it is. I've actually had guidance for a few days, but I'll just share like the important stuff with you. So someone was in my energy field and I had to break that a few days ago. And what I did is I used 2 walnuts for that. So I'm going to use that again in the ceremony just for all of you. And also I found a hook. So someone has their hook in us, right? And since that's plastic, I'll simply throw it in the garbage afterwards. I can't put that in the fire. But also from the cedar, a piece fell off that was darker, and at first I thought it was actually a squished or dried up, more like a squished insect with a stinger sticking out. I hope it can zoom in enough. Can you see? So it's basically like on the top left, that part looks like a stinger, and the bottom right would be the head. Sorry, the camera doesn't zoom in perfectly, but I think you get enough of a picture. Now, it is really small, but that's also that whole idea of like being stung in the sense of someone managed to get into our energy field again, right? It's like that injection of someone else's energy into our energy field. And then when I was shopping, I had enough points to get some free stickers. So I was like, what the heck, why not? Let me do that. And it was a little booklet that I could open up. And the first thing that I saw was the snake. So since I can't get the wooden snakes at the dollar store anymore, somehow I haven't seen them in months. So I actually created or made a little clay snake here, which I will then cut the head off of. And let me just see if there's anything else I'm missing. No, I think that's it. Oh, actually, we don't need the scissors for tonight, I believe. But that could change last minute. I do have an axe standing by on the left. I just didn't want to have the altar completely crowded again. And I do have a little mini garbage for the hook and the insect. I'm actually just gonna well, the fake insect, right? I'm gonna throw into the candle so it can just burn in there. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. So let's smudge and get started. And sorry, before I actually do this, something else just popped into my head because I thought it might be a separate topic, but there is a connection. So I watched a video from Dr. Ramani on YouTube today. And the title was something about reverse gaslighting, or like somehow like very hidden gaslighting in a sense, right? So she described a situation where someone was basically getting triggered by her and telling her off in a sense. Well, I think it was slightly different, but that's what I related it to in the experiences that I've had. But then the end part was where the other person was complimenting her on what great work she's doing and how, wonderful she is, yet basically telling her of these horrible things that she had done to them. And she said that she had absolutely not done those things, and that was the gaslighting part, right? Gaslighting someone else into trying to make them believe that they did something that they didn't actually do, right? So, but then having it follow up by a massive compliment so that you think, well, yeah, so basically creating self-doubt, right? Or like strengthening it. And the interesting thing is that that perspective is actually not the same perspective that I had when I had a similar situation happen to me. And in my situation, which was pretty much almost the same thing as described, I felt that since the person is also on the healing journey, same as me, same as like many other people, most of us in this field, right? In our collective, I felt that that person was more communicating the boundaries of what, like in my case, it was a female, what she didn't feel comfortable accepting, yet I hadn't actually done it. So I felt that she was being triggered and she misread my words and actions into something else based on her experience and her projections onto me, right? And then she was recognizing that overall I am doing great work and I'm, you know, overall a good person, but she cannot have contact because of how I triggered her, basically, right? So that's to make a long story short. Now, I didn't see it as a personal attack. Dr. Ramani did in her case. And that actually is something very interesting that I think happens a lot when we focus so much on the things that could happen when we're so on high alert of, watching out for the negative, for the triggers, and not shifting our focus onto all the blessings and all the good things in our lives, then it's very easy to stay stuck in a negative mindset, right? And that includes professionals, even with psychology or psychiatry degrees or whatever the background of whatever specific person is. In her case, I think it's psychology, but regardless, even if we can be really healed in many ways and even act in a way that we reinforce our boundaries and so on, but we also need that shift into a more positive perspective. And that includes also focusing on loving and accepting ourselves for who we are and focusing so much on all the blessings in our lives that anything negative is no longer important in our lives, that we don't take it personal, and that we realize that it's simply the other person that hasn't healed yet. However, they may also reflect something within us that is not fully healed yet, since we still attracted that situation into our lives, right? Now, that may not always be the case, because obviously Buddha and Jesus still attracted some unhealed people into their lives until the end. So, I mean, there are a lot of unhealed people in this world. So that's also another perspective. And again, when we heal from those wounds, we don't directly attract those experiences into our lives anymore. at least not in a way to hurt us, but they may come back a few times just to show us how much we've healed. And once we're in a place, emotionally speaking, where we no longer get negatively affected by that, then we know we have actually truly healed from it, right? So, with that in mind, it is a long journey usually, and it may take many attempts and many of those experiences to go through. But if you can see progress in your reaction, let's say maybe you don't react as strongly as you would have in the past, then you're definitely making progress. You're definitely healing. And I think that is what is important to focus on, to actually see the progress and the change. And in my case here as well, the stuff that came up for me was not as strong as it was in the past. And I was able to deal with it much quicker and more efficiently. So those are all also the things that we have to consider, right? Anyhow, sorry. With that being said, and no further delays, let me smudge again properly, and then we're going to get the ceremony started. Okay, please cleanse, clear, and renew all of our energies and take away anything dark, low vibrational, and unhealed, and transmute it into pure divine essence and return it to the universe for reintegration, and help us fully and completely reconnect to our own inner divinity. And that includes loving, accepting, and respecting ourselves unconditionally. And through that, help us into oneness and see the divinity in everything and everyone around us as well. Thank you. Dankeschön, all my relations. All right. So let's call in our divine team. Sorry, I just had to adjust the camera a little bit here. Okay. Dear divine higher power of the universe, our higher selves, our higher spirit team of the light, including our ancestors, the 4 directions and the 4 elements, please, and the ancestors that are in the light, of course, please join the ceremony and assist the healings, prayers, and protection with all of your powers. Thank you. Please close the circle of protection around us. Thank you. And what else just came to me is the ancestors are so important for this one, because this entire toxic relationship dynamic, and traditionally it was usually male female, but it's not restricted to that, right? It could also be same gender relationships. And I mean, nowadays there's so much more, like there's such a broad spectrum with, you know, intergender and everything, right? But I'm talking about those kind of romantic love relationships, right? So the toxic dynamic, and again, if I refer to male female mainly, please don't take any offense to it if your situation is different, but traditionally that was usually the case, and that's the dynamic that was passed down to us, right? And that has been going on for millennia and millennia of either control or manipulation or both. And when you look at how historically the gender roles were assigned, a lot of times men were conditioned and programmed and groomed into roles of control, right? And women were conditioned into a submissive role that then only really allowed them to have some form of control through manipulation of their male partner, or in some cases, their brothers, their fathers, and so on, right? But they always had to go through a man to get what they wanted. So there's a lot of that. And a lot of times, control is also, or often, worked through sexual control and manipulation as well, which is what in this case the snake is. So that goes back to the ancient evil snake that's mentioned in the Bible and that also existed in other cultures and religions, right? That seductiveness, that tricking into a situation that someone might not have chosen had they fully known all the facts, right? So, and that can also happen in other situations, of course. I was once tricked into moving to another city without having been given all the conditions of the employment up front. And then after I had moved, they changed the conditions of my employment. So that was also that evil snake energy, right? But in this case, it was a non-sexual context. So, but anyhow, since I've had someone in my energy field with sexual intentions, and it was quite intense that this male person was actually sending me massive projections of, tricking me into being tied to them through children, basically, right? I was trying to think of the best way to word that. And again, a lot of times when you call people on that, like in this case, that person, I am 100% certain would deny it if I called him on it, right? Because he even denied smaller stuff. But a lot of times when people are emotionally not in a healthy place, they feel they don't have the radiance to actually simply attract the right person. So when they see someone that they want, they start projecting from a needy and somewhat desperate place of codependency, right? Just filling that inner void. And when you are someone who is an empath or just energetically very sensitive, that can be very intense. And that's why so many of us need to break those energies so that we can continue functioning normally, and despite someone projecting some really unhealthy stuff, right? Okay. So with that being said, thank you to our divine team for all this guidance, and let us take a moment to think of all the blessings that we have in our lives. I've had 2 really good productive days at home because I needed to get some stuff done. So I've had some really good days just staying focused and getting things done. Sometimes, even if it's not as much as sometimes an overambitious mind might want, but all in all, it was really, really good and productive, right? So I'm very thankful for that, and just for the progress that I'm seeing within myself and my own healing, and for being alive at this time on this planet where so many things are changing, so much stuff is happening, and for all of you for being a part of this ascending collective. We're the ones who are starting to create a new world, a new way of relating to each other, and we're starting to form little communities and so on, right? So I'm very, very grateful and thankful for being a part of this. And many of us are still kind of on a solitary path, but we're still connecting to each other through videos like these ones and like online a lot of times, right? Okay, with that being said, thank you to our divine team. I actually want to start right away by removing the hook that these dark energies, these seductive, manipulative energies still have within us, that are kind of clingy, needy, desperate, desperate to be loved. Thank you. Because they don't realize that they have all of that within themselves. Thank you. So that hook shall now be gone. It's in the garbage. I'm just putting it back aside here to have some room. And let any and all impact from any astral insects that got into our energy field and stung us, astrally speaking, all of that shall be removed by having this in the wax. Well, let me actually see if I can burn it directly. I feel like I actually just want to burn it like this. Okay, let any and all connections to these astral parasites that have been messing with us by gaining access to our energy field, let all of that now and forever be burnt away and fully and completely removed from us, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, karmically, throughout all of time and space, throughout all lifetimes, timelines, parallel and alternate realms, realities, multi and universes, and any and all other aspects that affect us in this lifetime and moving forward. And so it is. Thank you, Dankeschön, all my relations. And with that being said, let all those snake energies now be gone, finished, and removed from us now and forever. We shall no longer respond to those manipulative energies in a traumatized way, but we shall now respond in a healed way. And what just popped into my head there, I actually don't remember the exact name of the YouTube channel, but there's a woman, I think her name is Asha. She is a Western woman who lives in an ashram and has been practicing East Indian spirituality for decades. Excuse me. And she gave an example that really stuck with me, where she said, if you had a child, I think it was actually her child, I think it was a real example, where she said, so the child, her child said, when she asked, what did you do today? The child said, I did nothing, mommy. And she said, and she said the expression on the kid's face was just so guilty that she knew something was up, right? So she said, oh, really? Where did you do nothing? And the kid said, in your closet. And then she went into her closet and it was a total mess. I think her pictures were all over the place. The kid somehow got into a box that had like sentimentally valuable stuff. I think it was pictures or something. I don't remember all the details, but the important thing was that she kind of went along with the lie of the kid to find out what they had actually done, or to kind of get to the bottom of it. But she said that's kind of how it is with the divine. And of course, also when we're in a healed state and we're in that divine state of being, then we don't take that personal anymore. So you wouldn't really blow up at the child for lying to you from a wounded place. I mean, there are enough parents who would still punish the child and so on. But she said she started laughing because her love for her child was so unconditional that it didn't really matter that the child lied to her, because she knew the kid was busted, right? Through, I don't know if it was a boy. I think she said his. Their or his actions, right? And just gave it away anyhow, right? So there was no real need to get really strict and mean and take it personal, because I mean, kids do what they do, right? Sometimes they do stuff that they shouldn't, and the kid clearly did feel guilty and knew it was wrong. But um I wish I knew which video that was. If I can track it down, then I'll put the title, and if I can, I'll link there. But I'm really not sure, because I saw it quite a long time ago, and my apologies. I don't think that I'll be able to find it because it was so long ago. But anyhow, if anyone actually knows which one I'm talking about, and if they happen to have seen it, then please do put it in the comments so that others can also watch it, right? But yeah, so it's like the perspective changes, right? So rather than blowing up and being hurt and getting super angry, it's like, oh, really? So what did you do, right? So yeah, a parent can have a very different perspective with a child that they love so unconditionally and so deeply that it doesn't really matter almost, right? So it's that kind of a state of being when we're healed. It's like we can be like that with basically everyone around us, right? It's like we don't really take it personal anymore. And people, when they lie, usually lie because they don't want to get in trouble in whatever way, shape, or form they believe they will be in trouble, right? So, and of course, when you think of yourself, I'm sure there were situations when you didn't want to get in trouble, maybe with your boss or whoever, where you bent the truth at least a little bit, right? In some situations. So if you woke up too late and there wasn't a lot of traffic and you said, "Oh, sorry, I'm late. There was a lot of traffic." That's a very common white lie, right? So strictly speaking, we shouldn't do that either. But I mean, most people do, right? So and then also becoming forgiving with ourselves when we find ourselves in moments when we can't be 100% honest, because we know there will be negative consequences for us, right? So with that being said, let us also bust the balls of those sexual demon energies. Oh, let me actually put that up here so that I can break it easier. I already damaged the little TV tables. Let those controlling, manipulative, sexually manipulative energies that are very strong projections now and forever be broken, so that we can have healthy, mutually consenting relationships with people without projecting at an intensity that basically almost forces them to fall into love, unless they have a really, really strong protection up, right? So let all those barriers and insecurities and walls and everything that we have up for our own protection because of those energies, but that also don't allow us to be fully true to ourselves. Ah, thank you. Okay, now I get it. So when we have walls of protection up and we're afraid of getting hurt when we fall in love with someone, then there's a disconnect between what we feel inside and our words and actions on the outside, right? So that disconnect usually causes those kind of projections and manipulations through the astral realm. And all of that shall now and forever be broken and released from us. And we shall step and move into our pure divine energies, knowing that we're so massively divine and amazing that we attract the right person and the right love, our twin flame soulmate, if that's who and what you're wishing for, into our lives. And we will be in a healthy, committed relationship, again, if that's what you wish. Because we trust the universe to bring it to us, and we don't have to try to control the outcome by trying to bring someone to us through these astral manipulations. So let all of those old energies be cleansed and cleared away. And again, if you broke any walnuts as well as part of your active watching of this video, as actively doing this ceremony right along with me, then please feel free to eat these walnuts. They're wonderful. That way your body, your system can also digest those energies. And this is actually the good stuff, the wonderful, beautiful love that is hidden behind those walls that made it inaccessible. Okay, so now we can enjoy the beautiful things that life wants to bring us and that we didn't allow in because of our fear of being hurt. Oh, that's quite a bit. And in the meantime, I'll finish eating those after the ceremony. I don't want to eat all of this and munch away while you wait. But I'll just finish this. Oh, actually, that's a big piece. Okay, I'll finish the rest after. But let us do an audible sigh to just release those old energies. And as part of that, for the breath in, just visualize breathing in that pure divine energy, that pure divine love and light energy. And exhaling all that fear and worry that need to be loved. And let us do that audible sigh of it's out. Shake your arms and legs, your whole body if you like. You can roll your head a little bit. I think they say roll the shoulders, but it's really the head that you roll on the neck, right? And move your shoulders back and forth a little bit. Just do everything that kind of releases tension. And one more Breath in, breathing in pure divine essence, and exhaling all that darkness, all that fear. All right, and let us give massive amounts of love, thanks, gratitude, and blessings to our divine team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. And let the ceremony now be finished. Please open the circle of protection around us, but keep us strongly and massively safe, shielded, and protected at all times with a 12D shield of golden light with a divine seal of protection. And with that, let our energy field be fully and completely sealed with pure divine light. And so it is. Thank you, Dankeschön, all my relations, all our relations. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, for being a part of the ceremony, and for being on your own healing and ascension journey. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel further, there's a PayPal link down below. Also, there's a shamanic healing session coming up online for healing the wounded masculine. That was upon a request. So that's on April 26th on meetup.com. It's at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whatever that is in your time zone. So I look forward to seeing many of you there. And in the meantime, I'm sending you tons of love, light, and blessings. Be well until next time, and I wish you great abundance. May truth and integrity always be with you. Bye for now.